Welcome to another round of the Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. John Nelson here, and what we're going to do over the next little bit, we're going to take you through the state, all the conferences we can get our hands on, all the results we can get our hands on, and you will also hear from some folks that partook in the sport of soccer in the state of Georgia over the last 7 days. We'll get you ready for what happened and prepare you for what's going to happen schedule-wise in all the conferences that touch the Red Clay. And so we'll start things off with touring the Sun. Why not? Because we're going to look at the Sun, the Peach Belt, the SoCon, the Appalachian, the Sun Belt, the Gulf South, the SSAC, and all points in between. So here's how we're going to go. We're going to start with the Sun Conference and catch up with SCAD and find out what happened there over the last 7 days in the men's and women's side when it came to the sport of soccer. Starting off on the men's side, looking at standings and schedule and all points in between. Right now, SCAD men on top with a record of 5-0-1, 16 points in conference. St. Thomas at 15, Kaiser at 13 points and 4 wins. Florida Memorial 3 wins and 10 points, 9 points for the New College of Florida. Southeastern with 7, Ave Maria with 3. Weber, International, and Warner are still looking for their first wins in conference on the schedule. So looking at what happened over the last week and getting you ready for what's going to happen over the next week, it is Florida Memorial winning over Weber 5-2, same score St. Thomas over New College. Kaiser with a win 2-0 over Southeastern. SCAD 4-2 winners at against Ave Maria. That got us to Saturday. New College 2-1 over Southeastern. It was SCAD and Kaiser a 1-1 draw. Keep an eye on those two, as that one was in Hardeeville, South Carolina. Florida Memorial 2-0 over Ave Maria. That sets up the upcoming week. Warner and Kaiser, Ave Maria at Weber, Florida Memorial, New College. Thursday, SCAD at St. Thomas in Miami Gardens. And then they pair up the road trip with a matchup against Florida Memorial on Saturday the 25th. Weber International and Kaiser, Southeastern, and Warner. Then on the women's side, you look at what happened there in the Sun Conference. Southeastern with 5 wins so far. They are on top. St. Thomas at 4-1-1. SCAD at 3-1-2 in conference, 7-5-3 overall and 11 points. Kaiser 3 wins, 10 points. Florida Memorial, New College both with 2 wins and 7. Warner with 4 points. Ave Maria 3 draws and 3 points. Weber International still looking for their first win in conference on the season. So going over the last week and getting you ready for the next week, going back to what went down on Wednesday the 15th. Florida Memorial over Weber 2-1. Southeastern over Kaiser 3-2. St. Thomas 2-1 over New College. SCAD's men over Ave Maria 6-0 at Ave Maria, Florida against the Griffins. Then they combine that with a 1-1 draw against Kaiser in West Palm. St. Thomas 2-0 hosting Warner. Ave Maria, Florida Memorial, a 1-1 draw. Southeastern 5-0 over New College. Wednesday, New College at Florida Memorial in Miami Gardens. St. Thomas at SCAD. Weber International, Ave Maria, Kaiser, and Warner. On the weekend, Florida Memorial at SCAD in Savannah at 1 o'clock. Kaiser at Weber, and Warner at Southeastern. That takes you through the Sun Conference. Let's get you into the Peach Belt and find out what happened there over the last 7 days and get you prepped for the next 7 days. Starting things off on the men's side in soccer, looking at your standings and your schedule. North Georgia on top, 6 wins, 19 points. Flagler 5 wins, 18 points. Lander 3 wins, 12. USC Aiken 3 wins and 11 with 2 draws. Clayton State at 3-3-1. Georgia Southwestern 3-5-1, both with 10 points. Middle Georgia 0-8-1, 1 point in conference. So looking at your schedule on the men's side over the last handful of days, going back to last Wednesday, Clayton State a 2-0 winner against the Rail Splitters of Lincoln Memorial. 2-1 win Flagler on the road at Lander. North Georgia 2-0 at Aiken. Middle Georgia, Georgia Southwestern. GSW a 2-1 win in Americus against Middle Georgia. Saturday, Flagler doubled Middle Georgia in Cochran 4-2. Lander 2-1 at Georgia Southwestern. That sets up Aiken at Clayton State on your Sunday. Then on Wednesday the 22nd, Clayton State at UNG. Georgia Southwestern goes to St. Augustine to take on Flagler. Lander travels to Cochran to take on Middle Georgia. Then on the 25th, Clayton State at Lander. Aiken at Southwestern. Middle Georgia at North Georgia. In Dahlonega at 5 o'clock. St. Leo is at Flagler. On the women's side, looking at the standings so far here in conference, North Georgia on top, 8 wins, 24 points, 12-1-1 overall, one of the top teams in the country. Next up, Georgia College and State University, 5-0-2, 17 points so far, 7-3-3, and the overall big win for GCSU and catching up with Ellie Fuller and Jack Marchant, courtesy of GCSU, their own selves. It's a chance to catch up on a big shootout, on a big win for them in the matchup against Albany State.
Bobcat Nation, Bobcats successful today, 5-0 over Albany State. And one Ellie Fuller, a little hat trick action today.
Yeah.
How about that, man?
Thank you.
Talk about that, because you really, that first goal in the corner, I've never said that. It was just perfect. I mean, it's perfect. You've been practicing that or what?
I stayed after practice yesterday and worked on it. So
Okay. Well, good. And things obviously opened up for you. Jack, let's talk about kind of a tale of two halves. We certainly played more aggressive, got balls in the back of the net in the second half. Can you just kind of talk about the difference there?
Yeah, I think the first half was just a bit of a mentality thing. We were a bit too lackadaisical. We were a bit too slow in everything we did. And they were organised, Albany State,
Yes.
and they were managed to protect their area and their goal very well.
Yes.
And we just talked at halftime, we got to get on the front foot and, we got to unbalance them and unorganise them. And we did that 1 minute into the second half. We want a quick throw in, and Mia took it quickly when they weren't paying attention. We were in the corner, and then we go from there. And I think we just went from strength to strength in the second half.
Yeah. Ellie, last time we had 3 goals was last year. Allie, actually, Allie and Ellie. So you had to have 2 L's you named
Exactly.
to get that, apparently. So, but talk about your day, just how it kind of opened up, because I think you scored 2 in a row and then maybe off one, then another one. Yeah. So what kind of balls were you getting there?
The team effort to get the 2 corners that I scored off of was just great. It was a really good build up, and it's a game where you can kind of tell, especially watching the first half, once you get one, they'll come.
Right.
So we just needed to open the scoring. I'm very grateful that I was able to do it. Coming back from injury, it's been a fun road. But
you've had an injury or 2 since you've been here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not only are you the MVP of the sports information department, you're the MVP of the game today.
Oh,
all right? How about that?
yeah.
How about that? So happy for you, Ellie, and a great win for today. And we'll see you next time. Go Bobcats.
So once again, GCSU second, 5 wins, 17 points. Lander 5 wins and 16. They only have 1 draw. Columbus State 5-2 and 15 points. Buford 3 wins, 2 draws, 11. Flagler 3 wins and a draw at 10. Aiken at 2-4-1 with 7 points. Clayton State at 2-5 in women's soccer. Georgia Southwestern 1-4-2 and 5 points. Middle Georgia 0-6-2, 2 points. Albany State 0-6-1. And 1 point. Checking out the schedule and the composite with what happened over the last week and getting ready for the next week. Wednesday the 15th was a busy day. Albany State 3-2 at Southern Wesleyan. Catawba 1-0 at North Georgia on the women's side. Charleston Southern non-conference 4-1 win over Aiken. GCSU 3-0 over Auburn Montgomery. Nova Southeastern 3-2 at Flagler. Buford over South Carolina State by the score of 2-1 in Orangeburg. GCSU once again 5-0 over Albany State. Lander 1-0 hosting Buford. Columbus State 9-1 with USC Aiken. Flagler 2-0 hosting Clayton State. North Georgia 5-0 hosting Middle Georgia. Monday, Middle Georgia's at LaGrange College in a non-conference matchup at 5 o'clock in LaGrange. Wednesday, Columbus State at Buford. Albany State at Clayton State. Flagler at Aiken. GCSU at North Georgia. And Southwestern is at Lander. On Saturday, the 25th, Aiken at Buford, Columbus State at GCSU in Milledgeville, Lander at Middle Georgia, Flagler at Albany State, and Clayton State is at Georgia Southwestern. So that breaks down things in the Peach Belt. Let's take you into the SSAC. Once again, a couple of the top-ranked teams in the country going at it on the women's side and on the men's side. Let's go on to the men's side and take a peek at your news and notes and everything there. So you end up with schedule, and you're looking at the games of the week. It's Life and William Carey, and it has been heavyweight battles with them so far this season. Looking at the standings right now, Life at 7-1, 21 points. William Carey, 19 points, 6-0-1. Faulkner, 17 points, 5 wins. Dalton State, 13 points, 3 wins, 4 draws. UT Southern, remember, they're the former Martin Methodist, 11 points, 3 wins, 2 draws. Mobile, 10 points, 3 wins, and a draw. Thomas, 9 points, 2 wins, 3 draws. Blue Mountain, 7 points, 2-5-1. Point, 6 points on 2 and 5. And Bruton Parker still looking for their first win of the season on the men's side. Going back over the schedule and getting you set for the schedule as we work our way through. It is going back to Thursday, which is traditionally the busier day on the men's side. Thomas, 3-1 winners over Point. Faulkner, 3-1 at Bruton Parker. Lindsey Wilson, 3-1, hosting UT Southern non-conference. Dalton State and Mobile, a 1-1 draw, and William Carey and Hattiesburg, 2-1 winners over Life. On Saturday, Life 2-1 at Mobile, Faulkner 2-1 at Thomas, and Point 4-3 at Bruton Parker. Dalton State and William Carey, a goalless draw. Setting up the midweek, Mobile goes to Point, and then they travel to Faulkner on the way back home on Thursday. Saturday the 25th, GGC is at Thomas, William Carey at Point, UT Southern at Blue Mountain, Faulkner is at Mobile, and then on Sunday, Life University and Dalton State. Circle that one on the board, 3 o'clock in Dalton, Georgia, with Life and Dalton State. On the women's side, looking at your standings once again, keeping an eye on a lot of the top-ranked teams in the country. Top-ranked, as always, is Life and William Carey. Looking at your standings through the weekend, William Carey and Life, both 8 wins. Life has played one more match, both at 24 points. UT Southern, 19 points and 6 wins. This is in conference. Mobile, 16 points and 5 wins. Point, 15 points at 5 and 3. Dalton State has 1 more loss. Thomas has 2 more losses. They're all at 15 points. Faulkner, 9 points, 3 wins. ABAC, 3 points, got their first win in conference in the past little bit. Bruton Parker, 3 points, 1 and 8. Blue Mountain still looking for their first win of the season. So that gets us through the southern states. Let's go to the SoCon, find out what's going on with the Mercer Bears. And with Mercer and their activity, we've got 2 matches for you. And we'll take it just with in-conference play, basically. We'll let you know what the rundown is with the sports themselves. Mercer had a 1-0 win over UNCG. We'll get to the interview there in just a sec. Going back over the last couple of days, obviously Thursday is the larger day, and involving schools in the footprint, Samford 3-0 win against Mercer. And then that lays everything going on with women's soccer. And so looking at the standings attached to women's soccer right now, full standings after the win by Mercer against UNCG. We'll hear from Coach Tony G coming up in just a sec. It is Mercer right now at 2-3-2 and 8 points. Samford 5 wins, 17. Western with 4 wins and 14. ETSU, Furman, UTC, UNC, Greensboro, 2 wins, 3 draws. That's why they have 1 more point than Mercer. Citadel, same record as Mercer in conference. Wofford, 1 win, 5 points. And VMI still looking for their first conference win at 0-7 on the year. Your schedule, once again, looking at what went down and laying things out for you here over the last 7 days and getting you set for the next 7 days. It was once again Samford over Mercer by the score of 3-0, and then you end up with Mercer getting ready to take on the Citadel, and that one is on 10/19, and that one is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina. Mercer's schedule ends with a home match against Wofford a week from Sunday, 2 o'clock in Macon, and that lays it all out for you in the SoCon Conference when it comes to the women's side. So let's get you into
Mercer defeats UNCG by the final score of 1-0 here at Bet Stadium. Coach, this was their first home game in quite a while after a 2-game road trip. I thought you guys came out with some good energy here tonight. Played really well in the first half despite not scoring. We got one early in the second half to go up 1-0, and that was the difference tonight. Just thoughts on the way you guys played here tonight and how important was it to get that first goal in the second half?
Yeah, it was a massive game. We knew they're ahead of us in the standings. It was a game we had to get to kind of get the tiebreaker over UNCG if we ended up being tied with them. So we were chasing them on the table, and we had a great game plan. I thought the girls executed really to a T that first half. I thought we limited UNCG's ability to connect passes as much as they have done. They're a very good technical, good passing team. And I thought girls did a phenomenal job with that. And we went to halftime. We reassessed a few things, made some adjustments to get forward a little more, to get more numbers forward. And great breakout from Hayden Lepley to drive, to find Anna, to play a great ball behind, to Morgan, who finishes a great goal. So I was proud of the execution of that from what we did the first half into the second half to get that decisive goal.
When you're up 1-0 late in a conference game, what are you looking for specifically defensively? Do you try to switch anything up formation-wise? And then what are you just looking for from the team to try to protect the 1-goal lead?
Yeah, how we typically play, it puts us, we could get exposed, so we had to draw back a little bit differently defensively. We knew that could happen against any team playing the SoCon. Every game and every conference, I think, is relatively tougher than non-conference. There's so much more at stake. So we knew being up 1-0 or 2-0, whatever the game might be, there's going to be more pressure. They're going to throw more numbers forward, and UNCG did that. and our team did a really good job adapting and adjusting on the fly. We don't get timeouts, so we have to rely on the girls going in on subs and telling the players on the field, this is how we're going to play. And we did a really good job, I thought, of taking away opportunities. They had some shots from distance there in late end of the second half, but only 2 shots on frame. Avery May had, I think, 2 saves. So overall, I was really proud how clinical they were to kill the game those last 13, 14 minutes.
Next up is Sanford here at home on Thursday night. It's always an intense physical game against those guys. Just thoughts on what they're going to bring here Thursday night.
Listen, they're going to bring energy. They're going to bring fight. Sanford Tall's done a phenomenal job there for the time he's been there. They've won the most championships than anybody else in our league. It's going to be a tough task, but we're excited to have them at bets. Last time we were here, it was a tough game. We're on the wrong end of it. We know what's at stake. If we can somehow get a point or 3 points, it puts us in conversations for a higher seed. I think we'll be prepared. Our girls know what we're capable of. We got to get some girls a little bit more healthy, but we're looking forward to a massive match against Sanford on Thursday.
Coach, congrats on the win, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, and go Bears.
Men's side of things, and look at the standings in men's soccer. You have Mercer right now at 2-0-1, 7 points tied with Furman. UNC Greensboro 6 points. ETSU with 3 points, as well as Wofford at 1-2. VMI is at 0-3. So looking at your composite schedule and letting you know how things were leading into the weekend, it was going all the way back to the 11th Mercer 5-4 shootout against Wofford and Spartanburg. And then it was Mercer and Georgia Southern. Mercer and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, a 3-0 win over Mercer, Macon in Macon. Here's your highlights courtesy of Mercer and ESPN+. Jason Longshore on the call.
Southern to deliver the cross. Header, goal. Goal. Goal, Georgia Southern. A textbook cross picks out Tomas Morales. Powerful header, and the Eagles have the 1-0 lead. Long switch. Awe will knock it down. Lewis will pounce on it. Lewis is into the 18. Lewis, goal! Goal! Goal, Georgia Southern. It's that man, Ricky Lewis. Goal number 7 on the year. And you can't give him opportunities to impact the match. Ricky Lewis makes it 2-0. Georgia Southern cutting inside. Steele slips it through. Driven across. Martin, goal. Goal. Goal, Georgia Southern. Great attack from the Eagles. Mercer had a few looks. They had some forays into the attacking half, but the Eagles add the third.
So that sets up the continued action on the 18th. Mercer is in Johnson City, and they got a 3-2 win over East Tennessee State to wrap up the weekend. JU, Jacksonville, heads to Mercer 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and that one is once again in Macon. Mercer then hosts VMI at 12:30 on Saturday afternoon on the Mercer campus, as VMI once again chasing after points, and then you have Mercer chasing after points, trying to climb the table as well. So after the conversations with Tony E. over the win with UNCG, and then Jason on the call with Georgia Southern and Mercer, that takes us into the Appalachian Conference, and we're going to find out what has been going on with Truett McConnell. And Truett McConnell, as they are chasing after the titles on the men's and women's side. So looking at things starting off, men's soccer right now, and you look at the standings in the Appalachian. Union 8 wins, and they are at 8-0-3. Milligan has played one more match, and they are 8-3-1. Truett McConnell 7 wins, Pikeville with 6, and they are at 6-2-2 ahead of Tennessee Wesleyan. Columbia 4 wins and 3 losses. CIU, Spartanburg Methodist each at 4-5-1. Reinhardt at 4-6-1. Montreat 3 wins. Johnson with 2 wins and 3 draws. Bryan at 1-7-2, and Bluefield with 1 draw in conference play. So getting over into the schedule in the Appalachian on the men's side. Looking at the last 7 days, we'll take you back to what happened in the midweek. Traditionally is when you end up with Wednesday and Saturday activity. Union over Tennessee Wesleyan 1-0. Reinhardt in a shootout beats Truett McConnell 4-3 in Waleska. Montreat 2-1 over Bluefield. Columbia loses to CIU at Sessions Field by the score of 1-0. Johnson and Bryan a 1-1 draw. Milligan loses at Pikeville 2-1. On Saturday, Truett McConnell put 10 on Bluefield on the road. Tennessee Wesleyan 5-1 at CIU. Montreat and Johnson and Wales in a non-conference matchup 2-2 draw. Same for Carolina and Spartanburg Methodist. Columbia and Johnson had a 3-3 draw. Union and Milligan a goalless draw. Pikeville won at Reinhardt 1-0. That sets up the midweek. Columbia, Spartanburg Methodist, Bryant at Tennessee Wesleyan, Bluefield at Union, Montreat and Pikeville, Truett-McConnell, a big one, at Johnson, Tennessee. Now going into the women's side of things, looking at the standings in the AAC, Truett-McConnell's run the table so far. They're 11-0 in conference, 14-0-1 overall. Tennessee Wesleyan, 9 wins. CIU and Milligan each 8-3-1. Reinhardt at 7-3-2. Pikeville 6 wins, 2 draws. Brenau 5-5-1, same as Montreat. Johnson 4 wins and 11. Columbia 2-5-3, 1 less game played than Spartanburg Methodist. Bryant at 2-9, same as Union, and Bluefield is looking for their first win in conference, and they are 1-12 so far. Let's get you into the last 7 days, get you ready for the next 7 days, and find out what happened in the Appalachian. In the midweek, Union loses at Tennessee Wesleyan in Athens 7-2. Spartanburg Methodist 7 at Allen. Montreat 3 at Bluefield. CIU holds Columbia to a goalless match for them, 3-0 win for CIU. Milligan at Pikeville 2-1. Johnson 4 at Bryan. Truett-McConnell a goal at Reinhardt. Then on the weekend, Truett-McConnell beat Bluefield 2-0. Same score, Tennessee Wesleyan over CIU. Johnson 2-1 winners against Columbia. Milligan beat Union 3-0. Brenau beat Montreat 1-0. Pikeville 3-2 winners at Reinhardt. And Truett-McConnell over Milligan on Sunday by the score of 2-0. On Tuesday, Columbia's at Spartanburg Methodist. Wednesday's the big day. Bryant at Tennessee Wesleyan. Bluefield and Union Commonwealth. Montreat and Pikeville. Truett-McConnell at Johnson. Reinhardt and Brenau. And Milligan and Columbia will pick up their suspended match at 2:16 of the first half, and Milligan leading in Columbia 1-0. So that leads us to the Sun Belt Conference on the Gulf South, and we'll let you know what's going on there with Georgia Southern specifically. And in the Sun Belt Conference, you got Georgia Southern, and remember, the layout in the Sun Belt when it comes to the men and women is atypical because the conferences that you would normally associate folks with may not necessarily link up when it comes to soccer. Say the SEC does not have men's soccer, just as an example as to how things go. And so you have some familiar faces in the Sun Belt. So West Virginia, 4 wins, 12 points, same as Marshall. Kentucky, 3 wins, 1 game in hand on Georgia Southern. Southern is 3-2. Georgia State, 2-1-2 and 8 points. South Carolina, 5 points, 1 win, 2 draws. UCF, 6 points. Old Dominion, 4. James Madison, 0-4-1. Coastal Carolina is 0-5. Looking at what happened in the week that was from the Fun Belt. In the midweek, it was on Friday, Georgia Southern beating Coastal Carolina 1-0. Big news out of Georgia Southern there, and it was a shutout for Georgia Southern, but now they have a new all-time leader in clean sheets, and it is the keeper for Georgia Southern, Nate Martinez. So Nate Martinez now at the top of the ladder when it comes to clean sheets in the history for Georgia Southern, and it was a 2-save performance for him. Not really tested a whole lot by Coastal Carolina, but it's good enough to be top of the ladder in clean sheets now in Georgia Southern Eagle soccer history. So congratulations to Nate Martinez on the win against Coastal Carolina. Then on Saturday, Marshall shuts out James Madison 2-0 in Harrisonburg. Georgia State 2-1 win in Morgantown against West Virginia. West Virginia showing some chinks in the armor when it comes to the impenetrability of that home field advantage, losing earlier in the year to Gardner-Webb and now losing to West Virginia, so losing to Georgia State. So big losses for West Virginia at home this year. South Carolina and Kentucky are squaring away on Sunday. Wednesday, James Madison UCF. Kentucky's at Georgia Southern. State is at Coastal. Old Dominion at West Virginia. South Carolina is at Marshall, and that gets you through the men's side on the week. In the women's side of things, when it comes to soccer and standings and such, Georgia State on top in the East at 16 points, a point ahead of Old Dominion, 4 points ahead of James Madison. State's women in the East at 5-2-1, 9-5-2 overall. They're on a 2-game win streak. Marshall at 9 points. Coastal Carolina is at 7. App State is at 6. Georgia Southern 4 draws in 8 matches. They're at 4 points. Western Division is Texas State, South Alabama, ULM, Louisiana, And then it's a big drop-off to Arkansas State with 1 win and 5 points, Troy with 3 draws and 3, and Southern Miss with 3 draws, or 3 points with the 1 win in 7. So going over the schedule of the week that was, you are looking on the women's side, going back to Friday. South Alabama at James Madison, 2-0 win for the Jags. Old Dominion loses at Louisiana 2-1. Georgia State at Arkansas State in Jonesboro loses 2-0 on Saturday. Southern and Coastal Carolina, 2-2 draw in Conway. Texas State 6-1 winners in San Marcos against Southern Miss. Marshall and App State, Troy and ULM finish out your weekend. Friday, that's your big day. App State at Southern Miss, ULM at Georgia Southern, Arkansas State and Old Dominion, James Madison, Georgia State, Texas State, South Alabama, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, Louisiana is at Troy. Now, that gets us to the Gulf South Conference and what is left of it, considering it's just a handful of schools that play football in it. There's only 4 teams left in the Gulf South, and they are still making a lot of inroads in the Division II rankings. The standings on the men's side in the Gulf South, it is everyone out of the state of Georgia is playing men's soccer. West Florida at 5 wins and 17 points. And it's Christian Brothers, West Alabama, Mississippi College, Montevallo, and Auburn Montgomery all in double digits. UAH, Lee, Spring Hill, Union, Trevecca, and Delta State wrap things up on the men's side. On the women's side of things, having clinched postseason berths, Montevallo and West Florida, 7 wins each. Montevallo 7-1-2 in conference. West Florida 7-0-1, and drifting all the way down, Valdosta State 1-6-1 in conference, 4 wins, and they are -6 in goal difference. And overall this season, they are 2-7-4. Looking at the schedule for Valdosta State, it is a 7-0 win at home against Auburn Montgomery back on Saturday, and coming up in the week that will be, it is a matchup on Monday against Eckerd in Valdosta, and then they get to travel to Christian Brothers and be in Memphis on Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 East, as Valdosta State takes on the Christian Brothers Buccaneers. And so that is the rundown of everything that is going on, all in the footprint. That is your Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. Thanks to our friends at Georgia College and State University. Thanks to Mercer and letting us catch up with Coach Tony E. And Jason on the call for Georgia Southern and Mercer, a big matchup there in the footprint. Back with it next week. We'll let you know what happened, who's doing what, who's climbing where, and what it looks like in all the conferences here in the Red Clay. Powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. Enjoy the soccer. We'll catch up with you next week.